2-time for the cha-cha gang. Give me the cha-cha gang. Rockin' with the best, cha-cha gang. Give me the cha-cha gang. I like it now, cha-cha gang. Give me the cha-cha gang. What's in my body, cha-cha gang.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and members of the Cha-Cha Nation. Welcome to another episode of the Cha-Cha Hitmaker series on the Cha-Cha Music Review Podcast. My name is Hafeestonova, aka your musical plug, creator of the Energy Force. You know, I get to do it on the Cha-Cha Hitmaker series. I get to bring different music producers and we have a conversation about the music production and everything in between. And without wasting much of your time, let me allow my producer for today to introduce himself.
Okay, I go by the name Major Bangz, also known as the audio scientist. A brief introduction of myself. My name's Archibong Michael. I'm from Akwa Ibom State, southern part of Nigeria. And I happen to be a producer when I was in the university in year one. I met a guy, this was back in 2002. I met a guy who was, making beats with his mouse. And I thought that he was playing games. So I had to ask him, what are you doing? And he said he's making beats. So I listened to it and he was actually making beats and it sounded good. So I decided to dive into it, learn the ropes, learn the basics, and then start pushing from there. Been making songs right when I was in Calabar for years before I came into Lagos in 2011. Yeah, so, that's basically it.
Thank you very much for being on the podcast today. While you were introducing yourself, you said you're an audio scientist. Now, I've had a lot of people say maybe audio engineer, audio this, but audio scientist is something new. Tell us why you call yourself that.
What I do mostly is research.
Okay.
What I do mostly is research. I personally try to predict where the music is going in the nearby future, where the sound direction will be, what's going to trend. That's basically what I research on. I might not be involved in that particular sound. I try to make sure I at least know what the direction of the sound will be before the sound goes into circulation.
All right. That was interesting. So you were talking about, how you started your production journey and how you learned from a guy that was doing beats with his mouse and all that. So let me ask you this. When you started making those beats, at what point did you decide that, okay, you know what? I feel like this is what I want to do as a career. I mean, like you rightly said, you were in university then. So obviously you were in school. You had, a plan of graduating and probably using your certificate to work and all that. But at what point did you say, okay, you know what? Let me stick to the production and let me just use that as my career?
I come from a family where my dad at times might not be available for him to provide some necessities. Now, here's the thing. Sweet thing is when I started producing and I started becoming good at it, it started paying bills automatically because dancers want to edit their music. So they come to me with their beats. So I add effects and, where they are dancing, where the music stops, where the music shifts or reverses. Yeah, I used to do those kind of things. So those things, they pay bills for me. And then also, apart from that, artists in school who wants to perform for campus shows or graduation shows and so on and so forth, Friday parties, they also come to me for beats. So those things, I kind of created like a job, a semi-job in school. Unknowingly, it's not something I actually planned. It's something I do as a hobby. I just make music as a hobby. But it turns out to be a job because people are interested in the quality of my work and they're willing to pay for it. So, and that actually helped me navigate through school. So all these things, actually paved the way for me to believe that, look, this can actually be a lifetime job. I'm an architect.
Okay.
I read architecture from University of Nigeria, Nsukka. So, but at the end of the day, music actually helped me, to navigate all these hurdles. And this is where I am today. Even up till today, that's still happening. Music still pays the bills and we're still pushing,
All right, so let's talk about, you doing music as that side also that was bringing income as a student, and also you having to, focus on your studies as a student also. How were you able to, should I say, balance those two?
Yeah, first of all, it was timing.
Okay.
It was timing. Lectures in the morning, production mostly done in the night. Now, if there's assignments, I shift all my production schedules to some other time, maybe probably after exams. So for me, basically, as long as I've paid my tuition fees, my school fees, and I'm not owing, I think my mind is, when I was in school, my mind used to be at rest at that point, because that's like the only major problem. The rest of the things is just money for feeding, and actually not a problem at all, not a problem at all as a debt. Yes. So if I have a job, and everybody knows that if the whole school is having an exam, everybody goes into studies. You just make sure you study so you don't accumulate problems. You just have to do all you can to make sure you graduate. Yeah, so that was how I was able to balance time. Production in the evening, studies in the morning. Now, if there's an assignment I'm supposed to do, all my production schedules as rescheduled. So that's how it is, basically.
For the first time you made production for someone, and you like you rightly said, you've been getting paid since when you started in school and all that, but that first payment you got for making production, how did it feel?
Yeah, if it feels great. It was like, oh, so is this thing I learned like, a year ago that brought this money? Fine, we're going to do more, and, we're going to take this thing to the next level and see how we can become world-class producers. Yeah, it felt great. It felt very, very great. I mean,
that's good. There's no denying it that you are one of the, world-class producers that we have in Nigeria. And let's talk about how that journey started, after leaving school and you continued with your production. Who was the first major artist that you would say you worked with? And how was that feeling, knowing that, okay, this person I'm working with was a major artist? How did you feel about that experience?
Actually, a lot of people don't know the first major artist I worked with was Waje, and that was in 2006.
Okay.
Yeah, that was in 2006. Now, this is the problem. The problem was Waje was in a record label. She was signed to a label in Enugu. Then Waje also went to my school, okay? She was like my senior. I think she just graduated then. Yeah, so she was signed to a label. I've forgotten the name. But the owner of the label is my guy. Do you understand?
Okay.
He's a young guy who, lives in America, comes back home, and was really interested in music, So, yeah, so they were working, and then someone told Waje that my beats, that she will really vibe well on my beats. Just like, okay, let him come to the studio. So I went to the studio, played some beats, they liked it. Her CEO, the guy that signed her, liked it. She liked it. And then we made the song. Now, the song was mixed and mastered, everything ready. Then after a few months, I don't know whether there was a problem between she and the label. So the song wasn't released anymore. She wasn't dropping any music, just collabos with people. So along the line, I just left. The song never came out. After a while, in 2009, Vector came to the studio. That was all this I'm telling you is in Calabar. The Waje's own is in Enugu. Yeah, Vector came to the studio, and then he heard my beats. He was like very, very happy about it. He made a record, but record never came out, probably because I wasn't living here, in Lagos.
Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't here. So, in 2011, when I came to Lagos, the first major artist I worked with was Phyno. Yeah, it was Phyno, and Phyno also just, he was just starting out. Yeah, that's like the first major person, I worked with, and work has been tremendous so far ever since. From Phyno to Olamdie to Lil Kesh, back to Vector to Illbliss to Yemi Alade it has been like that ever since. So it just takes one song on one artist.
Okay. Like you rightly said, 2011, you worked with Phyno. And for me personally, that was when I first, had that name, Major Bangz. It was when it was on his Phyno song. I was like, whoa, I love this producer and I love his beat. But if there is one thing I've kind of, noticed from your production, especially most of the songs I've heard, they are more of, should I say, hip-hop rather than the, traditional, let's say, R&Bs or Afro beats. I think one of the, even on, there was a song you did on Kizz Daniel's last album. I think that was, I can't remember the name of the album, but there was a particular song you did there. And when I first saw the production credit, I felt like, okay, this might be something different coming from Major Bangz. So let me ask you this just straight up. Is it that you prefer to do more of hip-hop, or what kind of production are you generally comfortable with?
I get these questions a lot. I get this particular question a lot. Now, here's the thing. People come to me not because of hip-hop, but because of grit. Because of my beat has grit. It has anger. There's anger in it. There's the rage. Yeah, that's what people come for. Not really hip hop. You see, if you listen to the songs I made for Kizz Daniel, especially that one with Wretch,
yeah,
32. Yeah, you see that song is a blend of, Nigerian hip hop, UK swing, and then Afro beats. Mm-hmm. So exactly. So people come for me for that kind of sound. Not really, they're not coming for hip hop. It's just Nigerians that call it hip hop. Actually, it's not hip hop. It's Afro swing.
Okay.
That's like Afro swing. It's just like something like what Burna Boy does. That kind of beats, It's just that's what people actually come for. They're not coming for hip hop. They're coming for that gritty sound, that heavy beats. That's what they're coming for. And I'm one of the few producers that have that kind of thing, that kind of grit. So, but when it comes to hip hop as well, also I make hip hop very well. The whole country knows that. Some people calls me I'm the best hip hop producer in Nigeria. Who cares? Nobody cares about that shit. But what people just want is good music, and I love Afrobeats, and I think right now that's actually my main focus. I'm going to focus more on Afrobeat, but in a Major Bangz way. Afrobeats in a Major Bangz way. I'll give you an example. Olamde's Owo Blue. You remember that song? That is
I do.
A Major Bangz type of Afrobeats. My Afrobeat always has grit. It's gritty. I think the softest Afrobeat I've done in my life is Kizz Daniel's One Ticket. And the beat is just, it's just I don't know what happened. I just decided to try something soft and it worked. So, yeah, we've been pushing like that ever since. Even if you listen to Kiraku's recent project, the song I made in that project is called Redemption. On that song, you see, I just tried my best to make sure I am at the level where I can be very, very soft, but even at that, it still sounds hard. But it's fine. It's just me. The hardness is just me. And basically, hip-hop is also my thing. So I would take it like that. But the most important thing is blending, trying to blend it with the traditional Afrobeat sound. That's the sweet spot. That's where the sweet spot lies.
Okay, that's good. I won't lie to you. I'm going to be very honest. When I found out that you produced One Ticket for Kizz Daniel, I was very, very surprised. I feel like this doesn't really sound like, the heavy Major Bangz that I used to do. I mean, his beats are always, but well, I guess there's always that one song that you just, get the unexpected like that. And that was a very, very good song. Like we've rightly mentioned, you've worked with a lot of A-list artists in Nigeria. And let me just throw this to you. Which one of them was the easiest to work with, and which one of them was the difficult to work with?
Well, if you say easier, the thing is, most of these artists they have their own different type of vibes and the way they process ideas. You see, I might give an artist an idea and he might not like it, but in a few days time, a few weeks time, he might go back to that idea and like it. It has happened a lot. You play some beats, you just keep them there. They say they don't like it and they come back to it. Everybody knows that me and Phyno, we have the great chemistry, and everybody knows that. Mm-hmm. Now, Kizz Daniel, that's not a person I really have, chemistry with. Somehow, some way, that guy tends to understand the way I place my melodies. He tends to really, really understands that effortlessly. Then when it comes to artists who is difficult, I don't know, because most artists, when they hear my beat, just want to jump in. I don't know. I've never had an experience where an artist is finding it difficult to jump on my beats. I've never had that. But most times when it's just here, they just want to do something immediately. It always happens. I don't know.
That's good. So let's talk about the production itself now. What gets you, inspired in terms of producing a beat or making a beat? And just give us, a quick summary of what does your production process, what does it look like?
Okay, first of all, my production process is simple. I can be drawn to anything. I can be inspired by anything. I don't have a formula for this.
Okay.
I might be walking on the road and somebody says, make a sentence, or somebody says something, or a slang. I can just pick it up and the melody just comes to my head and, it turns out to be music. Sometimes it's a sample I just hear, maybe from a Hausa, a gateman's, or maybe my gateman's phone. He's playing something, he's playing some old school Hausa music, and I hear something that I think is great, so I might, want to resample, or maybe play it. back. It might be just me, just touching the keyboard and see what comes out. It might be me with a blank idea, just trying to do something. So my production process is kind of rugged and kind of not straightforward. It might be confusing to people who are just starting.
Okay.
But yeah, it might be confusing to them because like when I'm in the studio, when I start touching parameters and shit, people just get confused. And what's this guy doing? Like they are lost. But when I'm teaching my students, I try to break the process down in a very basic step so they can understand. So when I go to that advanced stage, they won't be lost anymore. So my production process is not that, I won't say easy, but not easy. It might be a drum loop. I hear a drum loop, I like it, I chop it up, and then I replay it, pick up the fragments and then replay it to something different just because I like the drums. It might even be an effect. Let's say, let's say I play up, say, ka, 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 and I decide to add a delay effect, and here it sounds. So, it might be ka, 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 ka. So it depends. It depends how it works. It might be effects, it might be loops, it might be a sample, it might be a one-shot sample, it might be anything. It might be a sentence or a speech or a statement. Do you understand?
Yeah, I do.
Anything. I draw inspiration from anywhere. It might even be a chord. It might be a chord progression. Anything. That's how I'm drawn.
Okay, that was nice. Now let me ask you this: is there any artist in Nigeria right about now that you see you are still looking forward to work with, or
Yes,
you're right about satisfied with everybody you've worked with?
No, I'm not satisfied with everybody. In fact, I'm not satisfied. I'll work with Burna Boy.
Okay,
that's a must. I really, really, really want to work with Burna Boy. Burna, that's the guy. That's the guy. Reason is because that guy is a complete representation of hip-hop and Afrobeats. He's in the middle of the two, 50-50. And that's the most reason why I feel like Burna Boy is really, really, is one of those artists that is really, really open for experimentation. And that's why I really, really, really want to work with that guy. I like the way he attacks beat. He's from the 80s. Artists that comes from, look at Whiskey. Look, check artists that were born, that came from the 80s. They have big time galleries of melodies in their head. They know how to attack and destroy any beats. Because if you go back to the 80s, hip-hop music, that's where it started from. Do you understand? That is where it started from. So if you're serious about music and you come from the 80s has something. There's something golden about the 80s type of music, which is why when Burna Boy enters any song, he brings up an old school melody that is so fresh in the kids of today's ears. And they're like, whoa, this guy is a god. Of course he is. But they don't know that he's been listening to what the OGs have been listening to. Exactly.
That's nice. All right, you're talking about, experimenting and, working with Burna Boy and all that. Let's quickly talk about this project you did with Terry Akpala.
Yeah.
How did that, how did that project come about? Because I won't lie to you, when I said that project, I'm like, okay, Major Bangz and Terry Akpala, this is something different. Tell us about that project.
Okay, so that project basically was just a discussion between my management and Terry Akpala's management, because we wanted to do something, like an artist-producer collab, and Terry Akpala, being one of the most unique artists in this country, being somebody who has his own sound, doesn't sound like anybody else, he has his own thing. That guy is way more talented than what people are hearing. He is way, way more talented than that. I can assure you. I know what I'm saying. Okay, so that project was a project that was meant to, just showcase both of us, our skills on another level, on a level that is both commercial and not commercial. It was a project that was supposed to depict Terry Akpala's flawlessness when it comes to hip-hop music, and also a project that was supposed to depict and show Terry Akpala's way of, vibing into a different, way more different category of beats. Anyone who has heard that project knows exactly what I'm talking about. You see, so that particular project even if we did that project with no funding from any label, from any sponsor, we had no funding, but we got 3 million streams across all platforms within a short while, and it was counting. For me, I feel that's a success because we did that project without any funding and nobody involved, just us and uploading and posting. That was it.
Oh, well, I'm going to be very, very honest to say that was a very, very good project because I don't lie to you, I liked that project a lot. When I saw it and I listened to it, I'm like, wow, this is something different. And that project started to make me wonder, like, why don't people, do more with Terry Akpala? Because like you rightly said, I listened to that project and I identified with the talent that he has. I feel like this guy is extremely talented and is very, very unique and different. And if it was one that I think about that project, I felt like, okay, you know what? Because normally when I hear Terry Akpala, I used to feel like, oh, there are some certain, beat or some certain song that he cannot, go on or vibrate. But when I had that project, I felt, no, this guy can go on anything. He can definitely go on anything. And that's why I had to ask about that project, because that project is one, if not my most best project, that I've had Terry Akpala vibe on. And I really, really like that project. That's why I needed to ask that. Now, another question I need to ask you is this. How did you get the name Major Bangz? Like, how did you come up with that name?
It used to be in physics, there's a scientist called Archimedes who was involved in the flotation of the principle of flotation of water, with the principle that was involved in the technology ships use to float on water.
Okay.
How to get metal to float on water. Now, in secondary school, when I was in secondary school, they used to call me Archimedes, So Archimedes, meaning my name is Archibong, Michael, so we just changed it to Archimedes. Now, after a while, when I started doing music, it became Medis Bangz.
Okay.
Then when I got to the university, somebody now called me Major Bangz, just because he didn't remember Medis and intentionally just replaced it. So it sounded nice. And I just decided to use it ever since, like that.
Okay. That's cool. So now for, upcoming producers or someone that want to go into production that might be listening to this, episode, what are those things that they should, learn or they should put their mind to when they want to go into production?
Well, going into production is something that would need your maximum attention, whoever wants to learn. Not just attention, determination, and mentorship. You see, everybody comes from somewhere, As a producer who is emerging or who is upcoming or who is trying to learn, the first thing is learn how to make beats. After that, learning how to mix your beats. Then after learning how to mix your beat, then learning how to market your beats. These are three things. These three things is different from each other. Now, apart from learning how to market your beat, which now boils down to a sub-version or a sub-genre, which is learning the music business. Producers need to understand that if you don't understand how the music business works, I'm not sure if that particular producer wants to be very successful. Now, you might make tons of hits in the industry, but you need to also understand that, look, you have to know how the music business works so that every music you make, you have to be accountable for it. Meaning that apart from making money when it comes to production, you have to make money. You have to also consider making money from royalties as well. And royalties is basically two types, the mechanical rights and then the digital rights, which is from sales of music and from streaming as well. So it's important for a producer to make sure he or she knows all these things. If they don't know all these things, I'm afraid there's going to be a big problem because you want to ensure that you have all these loose ends tightened while while you're good at making beats as well. So you know that this is a career, and because this is a career, there's going to be a retirement day very soon. You're going to retire one day, and when you retire, what are you going to fall back on? That's where royalty comes in, When you make music and you're getting royalties from left, right, and corner, then there's a possibility that your retirement is going to be great. Yeah, you're going to retire a rich man.
All right. So, what production software would you, throw out there that, okay, if you're just starting up and you want to get around with software, you can pick up 1 or 2 software. What production software will you say?
FL Studio is one of them.
Okay.
Logic is another one. These are softwares that are very, very simple, not really tough. It won't give you hard time. If you put in work and you're determined to learn, yes, these 2. Yeah, Logic, FL Studio, then Ableton Live. I think these are the 3 major softwares that will help any beginner. FL Studio, Logic, Ableton Live. Then if you want to go further, you can say Cubase, Studio One. Yeah, that's just it. They are not much. But these ones I mentioned are the ones that are very, very basic. I mean, not really basic, but their learning process, if you're determined to learn, it's not hard. It's not difficult at all. You just grow in the process step by step. And It's easy to use. Not really difficult at all.
Okay. So the last question now is going to be this. Is there anything that you're working on at the moment? Where should we be expecting something new? Either a song you produced or, a project on your own that you're compiling together?
Okay, so stage 1, for now, there's an artist which I'm working with. Her name is Daisy. She was on Slim Casey's show and she went viral from there. Now, we've put up a project and we've submitted it. You're going, wow. That project is a mixture of, hip-hop and then Afrobeat, Afro swing. It shows her tremendous talent, So that project is coming up soon. It's coming up really, 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 really soon.
All right. So we'll be watching out for that, definitely. Thank you, Major, for being here. And I really, really appreciate. Any last word for your fans?
Oh, well, I just want to say that, look, keep expecting something from me. We'll never let you guys down. And yeah, I will make sure that before this year runs out, there's definitely going to be a hit from me. That one sure die. Sure.
All right, no problem. We'll definitely be expecting the hits. Maybe more than 1 hit, maybe like 2 or 3.
So many hits.
We'll be expecting that. Once again, thank you very much for being on the podcast. I really appreciate it.
It's been an honor.
With that, I have come to the end of another episode of the Cha-Cha Hitmaker series on the Cha-Cha Music Review Podcast, which is now being brought to you by Absolute Art Media, your number 1 online media and digital marketing agency. Usually, I don't do this, but hey, whatever platform you are listening to this podcast right about now, please, I want you to leave me a review, a feedback, a comment, a rating, or anything. Just do that for me. Thank you very much. Till I come here with another episode, my name will always remain Hafeestonova, aka your musical plug, creator of the Energy Force. Peace out.
Time for the Cha-Cha gang. Give me the Cha-Cha gang. Rockin' with the best, Cha-Cha gang. Give me the Cha-Cha gang. Alaye lawan Cha-Cha gang. Give me the Cha-Cha gang. Wati my body, Cha-Cha gang. Give me the Cha-Cha gang. Cha-Cha gang.
Wati my body.